Our last story that we're going to be discussing is Lilo and Stitch. Lilo Stitch, I don't know if you all know, but they are doing a live action remake of it. That is in trend with a lot of Disney live action remakes that they've been doing recently. They're even going to be doing one of Moana, which Moana isn't even a decade old. That movie came out in
It's like
like
7 or 8.
yeah, that movie came out in like 2016. So it's like I don't know if they're just I don't know if they're getting desperate and they want a big hit again,
They're
or
getting desperate.
yeah, because I don't know, but yeah, they've been doing a lot of these different Disney remakes, but a lot of them have been successful. Beauty and the Beast made $1 billion, Lion King made $1 billion, Aladdin made $1 billion. I think Cinderella also made close to $1 billion or about $1 billion. It was up there. So a lot of these do make a lot of money, and they are kind of very successful. So I guess that's a note to Disney. It's like, well, hey, let's just keep doing it. Let's just keep doing these remakes and everything like that. Cinderella.
Monetarily, they've been good, but actually, quality of the story and stuff has been pretty bad for the most part.
Yeah, actually, Cinderella. So it made $500 million. It made five hundred
Yeah,
forty-two million. So it made $500 million. So yeah, so that is it. So Lilo and Stitch is in the line of those ones, and they've been announcing the casting of this movie. And when the casting came out, they first announced the little girl who's going to be playing Lilo, and everybody was like, "Oh, she looks just like her." You know what I mean? Okay, cute little adorable girl, and she looks just like the actual character. Then they announced Nani, who's going to be the sister, and then everybody went like,
hmm
huh, I don't really see a lot of comparison there between her and the actress. And here's a photo of both them together. And this is from USA Today. It says fans blast Sydney. I don't know how to pronounce her last name here, but Sydney. Casting of her casting here. It says number of fans took on social media following her casting as Nani in the upcoming adaptation of Lilo and Stitch. Many taking issue with casting a lighter skinned actress for a dark skinned character. If they're going to cast a thick brown Pacific Islander as Nani, why bother even filming the live action Lilo and Stitch if they're not going to cast a thick brown Pacific Islander? They won't be getting a penny from me. That's what one person wrote. So again, this kind of brought back a colorism kind of situation. You have an actor who may not look like the character that they're playing, like something like you saw in The Little Mermaid with Ariel, with Chloe Bailey. She's black, and then the character Ariel is white, and people were saying that, well, if you didn't have an issue with that, or if you praise that, why are you criticizing this in Lilo and Stitch of this lighter skinned actress? And then the actress herself, she is Hawaiian. She is one. She is Hawaiian herself. It's just that she's obviously very, very light skinned. And then they also showed the casting of the love interest of it. Have you ever seen Lilo and Stitch, by the way, Dusk?
I have. I have seen it.
Do you know the love interest? I'm trying to pull up his name because they also announced casting for him as well. And also,
Uh,
it's another lighter skinned guy as well. I'm
yeah.
trying to see. But they also announced Courtney B. Vance's character, he's going to be in it, and he's going to be playing the Bubbles character. Even though they were like, well, Vin Rames is, I mean, he voiced the character, and he's still alive. I don't know why you couldn't get him, or I don't know what that situation was there. But yeah. So there's also kind of another lighter skin. I'm going to try to pull up his photo here as well. What are some of your thoughts on it there, Dusk? On the cast?
Uh, well, we've kind of reached a precedent here. Uh, I don't know how Hawaiian do you want them to be? I think that's the real question that's kind of not being asked. Do you the actress they picked who's playing Nani? She's Hawaiian. Does it fit exactly with what the animated movie was? No, not necessarily. Same thing with the who plays the love interest. I believe his name's David.
Yes. David.
Yeah, David Kawina.
Yeah.
Yeah, he plays that character. Do you want? I mean, I assume the actor who also playing it is also Hawaiian.
Yes, I believe so. Let me try to pull up his name real quick.
Yeah, go right ahead.
The Sydney actress, so she's Filipino American. It says here, yeah, so that's her background here.
Okay.
Yeah, so yeah, it says, but her, like I said, her casting has faced backlash and sparked colorism. Many users point out, although Sydney was born and raised in Hawaii, she is not native Hawaiian. According to reports, Sydney
Okay.
has Hawaiian, British, Irish, and Filipino roots. She was born and raised in Kauai, Hawaii.
Yeah.
I butchered the fuck out of that. But
No, no, yeah, it's fine.
before moving to Los Angeles to pursue her dreams. So that's kind of her,
Yeah.
background there of it. So she was born in Hawaii, raised in Hawaii, but it's not. But some people are saying she's not native to the place of Hawaii. That's what some people were
Okay.
saying there. So I mean, I'm still trying to pull up the
Yeah.
main guy so you can kind of see him here. But yeah. So my opinion on this is, first of all, when we discussed Little Mermaid back a little
Yeah.
while ago, and that whole controversy and that happened,
Mm-hmm.
and my stance on was it like if I was in the room and
Mm-hmm.
people asked me, do you think we should cast a black Ariel? And they asked my opinion, I would have just said no. I don't think you should do that.
Mm-hmm.
Not for any real particular. I mean, not because I necessarily care about the race, because I just know that motherfuckers are gonna freak out. It's gonna be a big thing. Chloe Bailey, especially the actress, she's gonna get a lot of hate, which she has. She's gonna get a lot of racism, which she has.
Mm-hmm.
Is it really worth it to put the actor through all that and go through all that?
No.
You know what I mean? For this, when you could just get her right. Do I think if, let's say, you had an issue with this casting, with with Lilo and Stitch, you had an issue with that, but but you didn't have an issue with Chloe Bailey coming as Ariel. Do I think it's necessary a good comparison? I think it's different in some ways, and I'm going to say it's different in some ways, and see if I'm going to get your opinion. You're a fair-minded guy,
Yeah, sure.
and get your thoughts on this. I think it's different because with Lilo and Stitch, it's very much tied to Pacific Islander heritage culture, right? Like, and as opposed to something like Little Mermaid, and I haven't watched Little Mermaid in a minute, and I was doing a little bit of research about Little Mermaid. The culture of Little Mermaid, the kind of the setting it's in, it's all about, like, it's the Atlantic, it's under the sea. You know what I mean? It's this kind of fictional kind of place, and then it's close by a European, sort of vaguely European place. Like the story of
Written
Little
by a Danishman.
written by a Danish, which people bring up, like the reason why you had to keep Ariel white because it's a Danish story. It's not really a Danish story. Disney kind of
Finnish Danish, yeah.
they took the story and they kind of reimagined it and they did their own thing with it. And just like
Sure.
what Disney did with Lion King, they took that story of the Lion King, one, from Hamlet, which was written by William Shakespeare, and then two, the story like Kimba the White Lion, which was a Japanese film. So they completely just ripped that off.
Well, Kimba in, like, literally only in small ways. The story itself, yeah, is more closest to Hamlet, and even then they used Hamlet as a backdrop and then did their own thing. Just like they used Kimba as like a art idea or a I mean, Disney has done that with Toei, and Toei's done the same thing with Disney. They've done back and forth on taking ideas from both. So that's kind of a misnomer, but I see where you're going with it. But yeah, they've taken with that one, and specifically with Lion King, they did that, then looked at African legends, then combined it with that, and then just did a whole brand new thing that was so its own thing. It was its own property that had no connection to anything really.
Yeah. So
That's a big difference.
that's kind of how I feel about Little Mermaid. Like, it's not
Mm-hmm.
really tied to any Pacific culture, I don't think. Even though it has roots in, like, they took the story, did their own thing with it. You see that it has Caribbean stuff because the crab and the way the crab talks and everything like that. So you know what I mean? Yeah, very Caribbean type roots there. And when people bring up other examples, like if you say like Mulan, look at a story like Mulan is very tied to the culture
It's literally about Han Mulan, the poem that is famous in China. Yeah,
Yeah, so that's very much tied. So if you remade that movie, which they did, and it sucked, but if you
yeah.
remade it and you casted white people in it, or you put it, just it wouldn't make sense because
Oh, it
it's
wouldn't work. The culture is completely different. It just doesn't fit.
now if you want to take it and reimagine it and then say like, okay, well it's on another place in another part of the world about some wherever, then
Then it wouldn't be Milan anymore.
you
You'd
could
basically make a whole new thing.
yeah you make a whole new world as you
Yeah,
would
you make a
say.
whole new world. I'm fine with taking a concept and then taking that concept and basically changing it to be something new entirely. That's great. I think that's really because it allows you to have far more freedom than if you were just covering a simple thing. If you just take a small concept and then you change it and you do some more things, you kind of make it your own thing. Then it has room to grow. Uh, you actually are way It's way more difficult to cover something and then have to stick within the lines of what you've covered.
Yeah.
It's actually way more difficult.
So do you see what I'm kind of saying? That is like the
Oh yeah,
difference
yeah.
between Little Mermaid and Lilo and Stitch, because Lilo and Stitch, very much Hawaiian
Hmm.
culture, Hawaiian
Yeah.
natives. You see the two sisters. You see Lilo, you see her sister Nani. You see kind of how the way they look, is kind of
Hmm.
darker they are. It's very much tied to the culture there of Hawaii. And
Hmm.
like I said, many people of Hawaii can look very different, as we see with the
Hmm.
character, the actress Sydney looks more fairer skinned. But you see how that kind of is a little bit different there, and I think giving a
Sure.
more shine to a more of the darker skinned actresses there that are from Hawaii
Hmm.
there and more native there, as you could say. So
Hmm.
I want to get your opinion on that of what I just
Sure.
said about the differences there.
Well, so I see where you're coming from in that on that standpoint. I actually am a similar agreement with you on the Lilo and Stitch. I get what they're coming from on that. I disagree on some of the aspects on Little Mermaid because I do think it's inherently because of a story so associated with Finland, and because he was very specific in what she looked like, in the kind of seafaring, what kind of that was, and yeah, did the trades with some of the more coastal waters, why they kind of did that. It also is like, but they still stuck close enough and respected the original story. While they did interpret some aspects of it, they were very still respectful of that. So I understand why a lot of people like the why are you doing that? Why are you doing this? This is what it was. Why are you kind of changing it? But you're only changing that part and not much else. What's the point? So in that one, I'm like, yeah, I can definitely see your credence. With this one, yeah, I definitely see where they come from on the angle of this is so inherently tied to Hawaiian perspective. It is. Let's make no bones about it. Nani and Lilo, they really did a good job on trying to focus on the Hawaiian culture and people, and at least in that aspect of just in a modern day setting with them in it, and about family and about that dynamic. Uh, but then again, that goes back to my original question of, well, how Hawaiian do you need to be for it to count?
Hmm.
I guess. Uh, how specifically Hawaiian do you need this to be? And then I then ask at the same time, then, well, then what like, as this? If we're going by the case by case metric, which I think you should always approach something by case. If this is the case, you want to go, well, they should be darker skinned because of Hawaiian. I'm like, well, they are Hawaiian, but yes, she grew up in Hawaii, but she does have a lot of Southeast Asian aspects to that. But understand what they're saying. Oh, she's too light skinned in comparison to this. They would like this instead. I'm like, oh, duly noted. I understand where you're coming from. I guess I can see where they're coming from, but at the same time, I asked that question back. I was like, how Hawaiian do you want it to be? What specifically are you going for? And then also brings up a second question: why we were making this in the first place? Like,
Money.
besides the obvious money, I know. Besides the obvious money, what was wrong with the original Lilo and Stitch that we needed to even bring this discussion up at any point?
Yeah.
We did the same with the Little Mermaid, same with everything else. Why are we doing this?
Yeah. Like,
And it's already had so much controversy. But go ahead. No, please.
like when you say like why are we doing this? Are you saying like why are we doing this? Like besides money, I mean, like what else reason are you looking for? For I mean Disney
I guess like Disney used to make works of art, and they used to try to make works of art, but it just seems now that it's like a lot of people go in and they're going to do something, and then we're having this argument of whether or not it's like, oh my god, it's not as Hawaiian as I thought it was going to be. I'm like, of course it's not. Of course it's not. So you're the same people who are arguing that this person isn't Hawaiian enough are the same people who said, "Oh, Little Mermaid is now played by a black girl. Good for them, Disney. Yeah, you go ahead and change whatever you want. Oh, but don't you dare try to lessen that in reverse. It only goes one way with a lot of people." And I'm like, no. If you're if you think respect a certain story that was told and the way it was told originally, then you should do that for all stories in all ways. And then if you want to do something different, then do something different. Take it, change it. Do you know how many interesting African stories that actually involve mermaids and mer people and aquatic life that I would love to see? There's so many. But is Disney ever going to do that? No, because they already have an IP they can establish. But
yeah.
I guess the way I see it, I just see it in a more fair light of why are we doing this? Why are we giving them the ammo to fight and do this and kind of attack each other when it's just going to be it's just not even going to live up to the potential of the original animated movie because didn't even need to exist. If you're upset by what they're doing, then don't watch it.
Yeah.
I'm being perfectly honest. Don't watch it.
The simple answer.
I've seen this time and time and time again.
Yeah. And like I'm gonna go back to Ready for Immaturity. He says the only Disney remake that he's liked, same with me, Jungle Book. That's the only one I've liked is Jungle Book.
Me too.
Which was directed by Jon Favreau. That's the one I've really only liked. He made a joke. He said Frozen.
Because it was something different.
He said Frozen incoming 2025. Yeah, they're gonna reboot Frozen.
Oh yeah, no, they'll remake Frozen, and it'll be between. They'll change the race completely of that, and then they'll throw that monkey wrench in there, and that'll hurt the actors and actresses that are in it. They won't get a fair shot because people will be upset because they're already taking a beloved movie that I don't really care for, but I understand why people like it, and that has roots in Anglo-Saxon / European style, and then they're gonna get mad at it. And then we're going to have the same thing over again to try and diverge from the fact that the movie's probably going to be subpar compared to the original animated movie.
Yeah.
To me, this feels like an actual attack. They did that on purpose.
Like they did on Lilo and Stitch, or they did it in Little Mermaid. It was on purpose.
All everything they do. Do you think in that writing room people didn't go, "This is a really ballsy move that may not work out for us"? You think, because you said it yourself, Josh, if you were in that room and you asked a common man, a common woman, and said, "Hey, everybody loves Ariel, right? Little girls love Ariel. A lot of is like most people who've watched, parents who watched it, yeah, we're fine with Little Ariel, and everybody knows Little Ariel. She was one of, along with like Tinkerbell and like a few other characters who they also recently in the Peter Pan movie also did race swaps and stuff, which people weren't happy about either. They keep doing it, and it's like, why? You already have a set precedent. You're not changing anything big. You're not doing anything on your own. If you walk a common person into the room and said, "Hey, we have this Ariel movie. We're going to do a live action movie," and they went, "Oh. Maybe, I guess that seems all right. Well, what are you gonna do different that isn't already covered in the animated movie? We're gonna pitch this. We're gonna make Ariel black, and then you just and that's it. That's all they gave you. What do you think about that? Is that something you want to see, Sport? You said it yourself. You're like, I wouldn't really do that.
Yeah.
Not because I wouldn't like to see like a story with a black mermaid. That could be interesting. I'd love to see like that kind of a story be interesting, but that's all you're going to do. You're just going to do that, and it's just setting someone up for failure. They know that. You think they don't have like so much money to know that, but they did it anyways.
Yeah.
They do it anyways.
I'll say this. I mean, Chloe Bailey is very talented. She can sing, and the girl can sing.
No,
and
yeah,
she is really. So she can really built it out, and she can really sing. So she's got the voice.
That's the
It's just
that's
that
the thing that hurts.
it's just that, like I said, I wouldn't want to put somebody through. I was like, listen, I don't want to put you through all this, like
Yeah.
getting you all this and doing all
No.
this. And it just seems kind of pointless to do that. And rated M for maturity, he says, I agree with this point here. Let me move this out the way. It's what I was saying about Rings of Power and how in that universe it's established that there's these Persian, African, and Asian nations out there that we could go explore, but they won't take the risk of actually doing something completely new. And
Exactly.
I get from a business standpoint of like, listen, with Rings of Power especially, like, listen, that was the most expensive show ever made. I mean, that's tough to be like, listen, we gotta do something new, and we're gonna put over almost like they spent what, close to $1 billion on that.
Yeah. If you look into the reasons why they spent that $1 billion, it was because the showrunner who was heading this thought that's needed how much they needed to spend. Nobody wanted to work on it. They had unproven people working on it as writers, and she thought clout was more important than that. So the budget ballooned than the quality of what was given, and now we have $1 billion. They have $1 billion stinker, and they know it.
And
Nobody watched it.
I mean, I watched it. We reviewed it.
Because it's your jobs.
I mean, and
For real.
I mean, and my takeaway was that it was just okay. I mean, not worth.
Was it worth $1 billion?
It was not worth $1 billion, but it was just all right.
Then it has failed. By it just being okay, it failed.
Yeah.
If I spend $1 billion, $1 billion, this better be the best show of all time. The whole reason Amazon Studio exists is that we get a franchise that will print us money. And the fact that it was just okay and only 40, and it lost 60%, 60 to 70% of our viewership, couldn't even finish the damn thing. We lost it halfway, and it's only 8 episodes, and people already immediately dropped. That is bad.
Yeah. And then rated M for maturity said a large portion. Yeah. Also, a large portion was also getting the rights to it. The rights.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
500 million just for that.
And then also back to the Little Mermaid here and close this out.
Yeah, please.
And said, so he also said, but there's no real mermaid culture there to really, like I said, comparing if you're going to compare to like Lilo and Stitch or, something like Mulan, like I said, those things are intrinsically tied to the setting that they're in, like Lion King, even though it's about like lions, it's specifically like the African music, the African setting, you know what I mean? Everything like that. Like it's tied. Sure. Even when you see like when they do like the stage play of Lion King, you see people dressed in kind of those kind of different colors and everything like that. So
it's a musical.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So it's very much tied to African kind of culture and things like that when you see Lion King.
It's tied to a theme and a music and the theme of the musical. That's what made them work. They're not as deep. Lilo and Stitch, for the most part, it's not a musical, so it had to have a bigger tie-in with its theme. So it has that more cultural pin to lion, but that doesn't mean that it's like the original fairy tale that inspired the Little Mermaid wasn't respected and kept in, even in its interpretation. Just the same that I'm sure if any other story, I would like to see it. Lion King is one of those more interesting ones where we took some little idea here, we took some ideas here, but we really wanted to represent this theme of Africa as a whole and tell this musical theme. That one's a little bit different. They didn't take from a book necessarily. They didn't take from original fairy tale. They kind of made their own, co-opted their own IP with a bunch of different ideas. Macbeth and all that, and Hamlet and all that. Yeah. That worked out for them. It's one of the most successful works. If their best work, in my opinion, their best animated movie, their masterpiece is Beauty and the Beast. I consider it their best thing they've ever done.
Nominated for best.
Then
picture.
I would consider I would consider the Lion King their magnum carta. I would consider their magnum opus. It may not be their best technically picture as Beauty and the Beast is, but Lion King is the technical. They're their peak at trying to do something and executing it with such such a point that people are willing to go on nostalgia alone to a boring live action CGI to a CGI movie and give it $1 billion on nostalgia alone.
Yeah, and that's what they're
And
hoping for
and just for
with
yeah, that's what they're
these.
hoping.
That's
They're
what they're
hoping
hoping
on
for
nostalgia alone.
with Little Mermaid and Lilo and Stitch, because this is tapping more into the millennial crowd. I mean,
Yeah,
millennials, more Gen Z millennial people really know Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin, Lion
that's their
King,
time.
Little Mermaid, Lilo and Stitch. Like that's really specifically millennial, more the type people that remember those movies and have
Right.
passion for that. And then this next generation after millennials, Z to, I guess the other one after Z is Alpha, I guess. I guess they're going to be tapping into that, I guess, with Moana and maybe like Rated M for Immaturity
They're
said,
still 12.
you know what I mean? Yeah, I mean,
They're like 12 years old. It's like 6 or 7 years since Moana came out. They're barely like 13, 14. They don't have time to be nostalgic for that yet.
and then I guess like Rated M for Maturity said Frozen, and when we get 2030,
Yeah, Frozen.
2035,
2030.
five or something, they're gonna be like, let's do
We'll get a
Frozen.
Wreck-It Ralph live action movie.
Yeah, Wreck-It Ralph live act. They're gonna do all the shit like that again. So, yeah, yeah. So that's kind of my thoughts on the whole Lilo and Stitch kind of thing. That's just some of my thoughts there. But
Yeah.
makes me want to go back and watch the animated one. I haven't seen the animated movie in years. I haven't seen that.
You should. It's a great watch.
Yeah, I haven't seen that in years. Yeah, maybe we should do a review of it. I plan on doing a review of the animated Little Mermaid before that comes out. That comes out in almost
should.
about a month. That
Yeah,
comes
it's
out
pretty
like
close.
May 26th, I think. So it's almost close to a
Yeah, it's
month.
pretty soon. Yeah, we have some time.
Yeah. Yeah, and he said that Rated Information said the only mermaid argument I could maybe understand would be if someone said it should be based in Greek and Mediterranean culture, but the animated version didn't stick to that either. Yeah, sure. Yeah. And by the way, this is the guy that's going to be playing the love interest. By the way, this is the guy. His name
Right.
is Kohari Machado. I fucked up that name, but
Yeah, you butchered that shit.
yeah, but yeah, this is what the guy looks like. So a lot of people complain about this too. Like, yeah. Kind of another
Yeah,
fair skin kind of guy.
He reminds me of kind of the actor that kind of got to play Aladdin in the live action one.
Ah, okay. Yeah, I could kind of see that a little bit. Yeah.